Hey guys, Bizzily here, and after going through Dark Souls 3 with all the magic types, I wanted to do a more martial run. So let's see, can you beat Dark Souls 3 with only bows? The rules are simple. First, all damage that I do must come from bows. Second, no glitches or exploits. And third, I must kill all bosses. I named my character Hawkeye because, do I really need to explain that? And chose the Thieves class. Shambling my way out of the coffin, we take a look at what we got. The Thieves class starts us off with a short bow and 30 arrows, which isn't a lot, but hey man, we take what we can get. Using it against Gundyr shows us a lot of the downsides of using a bow. They're slow, and their damage is subpar at best. Also, the fact that it takes a great deal of effort to not miss, and combined with the fact that we only start off with 30 arrows, means that if we run out, it's a whole run restart. Alright, Hawkeye 2, your time to shine. Now this time around, I tried parrying him and hitting him while he was staggered for the extra repost damage, and with me being more conscious of my arrow usage, Gundyr goes down. After heading the Firelink Shrine, I make sure to grab the coveted Silver Serpent Ring, since this is going to be a really soul heavy run, with us not only having to level up our character, but also make sure that our supply of arrows doesn't go down. Thankfully, the Shrine Handmaid sells us an infinite amount of wood arrows for the cheap, so we won't have to worry about running out of arrows anytime soon. I mean, they aren't the best arrow type, but hey, it's something. After putting some souls in the Vigor, I head to the High Wall of Lothric, and we can immediately throw our current bow in the trash for a better one called the Longbow. It has higher base damage and range than our previous bow. Nice! Now going through Lothric with only bows is not the greatest, since you can pretty much forget trying to fight multiple enemies with just a bow. And with it costing us souls every time we shoot an arrow, it's safe to say that we'll be running through most of these areas. After grabbing some Titanite shards, I grab the cell key and go free Greyrat from his cell and recruit him to the Firelink Shrine. Now he's going to be our main dealer of arrows for this run, with him selling us standard arrows, which are better than the ones we're using right now, and he'll sell us even better arrows if we send him on expeditions. After filling my pockets with standard arrows, I go and fight Vort of the Boreal Valley. Now because of my hubris, I thought I wouldn't need all my flasks to beat him. I soon paid for that line of thinking. Oh, come on, I'm almost out of arrows. Hey, dragon. Thank you. After restocking my arrow supply, I took my next attempt. It was a lot more simple. Just stay close to him first phase to make him whiff most of his attacks, and second phase just stay back and shoot from a distance. And after making Vort look like a porcupine, he goes down. I then used the souls to increase my dexterity, since that's what bows mainly scale off of, and lifted the banner to go to the Undead Settlement. I then went and grabbed Loretta's bone and gave it to Greyrat back at Firelink Shrine. Hey man! Look, I wasn't able to find Loretta, but I was able to find her decomposing body. Here's a trinket from her corpse. I then killed the demon with the Onion Knight and grabbed the Flint Ring, which will increase my damage based off my equip load, and the Chloranthy Ring for better stamina recovery. And then watched Greyrat have a mental breakdown. Dude, come on. You're acting like I just gave you the bones of a loved one. Grow up. I then made my way to the Road of Sacrifices, and now that we're here, we can prompt Greyrat to go on his first expedition. I make sure to stock up on standard arrows, because I wasn't sure how long I would have to last without him. I then grabbed the Grass Crush Shield for extra stamina recovery, and after ladder cheesing some hollows, I made my way to Faeron Keep. These guys sure are not a welcoming community, I then went ahead and lit all the flame towers, and after killing these Elder Grus, I got the Black Bow of Ferris, which is all around the best longbow in the game. And all I have to do is upgrade it. Bizzily, no! And yes, it did take me a while to notice. Anyways, I went and grabbed the Dream Chest's ashes for infinite Titanite shards and fought the Stone Demon. Other than getting smushed into the ground, nothing much happened. Just gotta stay back and shoot from afar. And even though this fight takes a while, we eventually take him down. After heading around back to grab some large Titanite shards, I finally realized my blunder and upgraded my Black Bow of Ferris to +2. Alright, let's do some target practice on a tree. Now, first phase was pretty easy. We used the weapon of our bow to quickly pop the front puss balls, and that sends us to phase 2, which took a while, because free aiming with our bow can be really difficult, and hitting the puss balls on his elbows and head takes a while, and even with the fight taking 6 minutes to beat, we take him down on the first try. And now that the fight is over, Grey Rat's finally come back from his first expedition, giving us access to an even better ammo type, the large arrow. And thankfully, this is the last thing we need for him, so we don't need to send him on any more expeditions. I buy as many as I can, and went to commit a Dark Souls atrocity. Sorry guys, just look away from the screen if you have to. After killing the Archer Giant, we get the Hawk Ring, which extends the range of bows by 65%, which will allow us to stay even further away from the bosses. Alright, let's test it out against Abyss Watchers. The fight was really simple. Just run away and use the downtime between his attacks to get some damage in, since the Abyss Watchers really struggle against range builds, and even his clones can't do much against me. And that leads us to phase 2. More of the same. Just run away and time your attacks so you don't get smacked by a flame sword. And after a while of shooting from afar, the Abyss Watchers go down. After making my bow +4, we head over to the Crystal Sage. Now this fight was actually pretty easy. Our arrows allow us to do a good chunk of damage, and they even stagger the Crystal Sage, not allowing it to do any spells. And even in his second phase, I just used the pillars to block the clone spell attacks. And after some bobbing and weaving, we take him down. I then went to the cathedral and grabbed the Lloyd's Sword Ring, which will give us extra damage when I'm at full HP, and fought the Deacons. And this fight was absolutely atrocious. This has to be easily the hardest part of this run. First off, our damage is just not good. 2 shots to kill a regular Deacon is not great, and the bow is just terrible at dealing with a group of enemies. Also, if the possessed Deacon just decides to huddle with this group, there's nothing you can do about it. Oh, also, did I mention that the possessed Deacon has a set amount of time they can be possessed for before the possession moves to someone else? So it's going to be a great feeling when you get a Deacon super low, but then you get hit by a fireball off screen, stunning you, making the possession move to someone else. Also, since using the bow just plops you in place, you're going to get hit by a lot of fireballs, absolutely chunking your health bar. So for the first phase, you have to 1. Pray that the Deacon that gets possessed is a regular Deacon, because Jesus, the big ones take forever to kill. And 2, that Deacon is on the outer edge of the horde, so you can easily take them out. Oh, but don't worry, it gets even worse in the second phase, because take everything I just said and add a status effect that kills you if it procs. And the fact that the surrounding Deacons can heal the Pontiff, resetting your progress. Oh my god. Alright, let's just deal with them later. It's obvious that my damage is just not it. Luckily, I know a perfect place to get a bunch of upgrade materials. I head to the catacombs, and after breaking the... What? Oh no. Jesus Christ, why is there so many of you? Oh, come on. After using the dagger to break the bridge ladder, I head to the Smoldering Lake. Now this area is perfect for getting upgrade materials, so I took the time to get all the large Titanite shards and made my bow +6. And after restocking on arrows, it's time to give these Deacons a second attempt. Have at thee! Okay... Well, how about Alluring Skulls? These items are always perfect to use against the Deacons. Maybe this will be the thing that tips us over the edge. Or maybe we can use all of them in one attempt and still die. Okay, new plan. It's obvious that our bow still doesn't do enough damage, but the only way for us to get any better upgrade materials is to go to Lothric, which means we'll have to fight Dancer early. I can't believe this is the easier of the 2 alternatives. The fight was super simple. Even though we don't do a lot of damage, there isn't much the Dancer can do if we just stay away from her. Just whatever you do, don't get grabbed. And after the longest game of cat and mouse, the dancer goes down. Alright, now I have access to Lothric Castle. I go through the area grabbing as many Titanite chunks as I can, and you know what? While I'm here, I might as well go kill the Dragon Slayer armor and get that Titanite slab in the Grand Archives. The fight was super easy, with him not really doing all that well against ranged damage, and me having a lot of experience with this fight, so he goes down on the first try. Alright, time to go to the Grand Archives and get my Titanite slab. What? Oh yeah, I have to go kill all the other Lords of Cinder first. Whatever, a +9 bow should suffice. Now, before we toss ourselves back into the Deacon Blender, there's some other bosses I want to deal with first. Quickly heading back to the Smoldering Lake, I fight the Old Demon King. He was a complete joke. Our +9 bow does pretty good damage against him. Add on the fact that he doesn't have a lot of ways to deal with our ranged attacks, meaning he goes down quickly. Time for Wolnir. He was really simple, just free aimed his bracelets. And you know, I always see people say, who is High Lord Wolnir? But nobody asks, what is High Lord Wolnir on to be so high? Anyways, Wolnir down. After upgrading my character and restocking on arrows, it's finally time to end the Deacons. +9 bow and we still don't one-shot? Great. Luckily, we got good RNG on possessed Deacon placement, which quickly gets us to phase 2. And I realized that I was being way too passive in the fight, and it was a lot better to just run to the Pontiff and hit him with my weapon art at point blank range, so we can end the fight faster. And after a few more hits with my weapon art, the Deacons go down. Finally. I don't want to think about this boss for a while. I head to Ithriel, and after some dogs that made me almost want to throw my controller at the screen, we fight Pontiff Sullivan. This fight was pretty simple. Okay. Now we do pretty good damage with our bow, so we quickly make it to next phase. Now our damage is much too low to reliably take down the clone, so we keep it alive so we can telegraph what the Pontiff is going to do. And with some good help from Pontiff's friendly ghost, he goes down. I then ran to Anor Londo and fought Aldrich, Devourer of Gods. He was really simple. We stay next to him to bait out his melee attacks, and even with them teleporting, it doesn't really slow us down all too much, and Aldrich goes down without much issue. Heading back to Firelink Shrine, you could actually transpose Aldrich's soul for a bow called the Dark Moon Bow. We won't be using it in this run since split damage isn't all that good in Dark Souls 3, plus the fact that I really don't feel like putting points into a whole new stat just to use it. After showing the superiority of the bow to the crossbow, I head to the Profane Capital and immediately fight Yorm the Giant. Now this fight took a while, since it was really hard to hit Yorm with my arrows, since he just keeps moving around, making me hit his body for, let's be real, with how little damage that it does, it might as well say 0. And you would probably think that this is the point where I tell you how I learned the specific times on certain moves to use my bow to hit Yorm on the head, and I've come to say,
no.
Yeah, I went by the gamer's fallacy, with it being if you throw enough arrows at something, eventually something's gotta hit, right? And after a long 9-minute fight, we finally take Yorm down.
Unkindled one.
Wait, what? I thought I killed you! I then head to the Consumed King's garden and fought Osiris, the Consumed King. His first phase was simple, just gotta stay back and shoot from afar. His second phase gets a bit more dicey, since we have to deal with his more erratic movements. But even then, all we have to do is stay next to him, and he goes down. After getting shown how superior magic spells are to bows, I fight Champion Gungnir. This guy's a parry victim. Oh. Let me try that one more time. Third time's the charm, right? Fine, I'll beat him normally. He's super easy. Other than his leap, there's nothing he can do against our bow strategy, and he goes down. I then grabbed the eyes of the Firekeeper and gave it to her at Firelink Shrine. I will protect you. I then head to the Grand Archives, pull a lever, and finally grab the Titanite slab. which allows us to upgrade our Black Bow of Pharos to +10. And after stocking up on 150 standard arrows, I think it's about time we fight some twins. Yeah, this fight kinda sucked. Since our bow and arrows do subpar damage at best, it makes this fight take forever. Not even mentioning his second phase, since not only do you have to use 5 billion arrows just to take Lorien down one time, but you also need to go through Lothric's health bar as well. Also, you need to keep taking Lorien down, which extends the boss fight for even longer. And when you're fighting a boss for that long, you're bound to. Yeah. What's worse was the amount of times I had to restock on arrows. But after a lot of attempts and a 10-minute long fight, the twin princes go down. I went and spent all my souls to buy 360 large arrows and went to Dragonland. Ancient Wyvern was super easy. Running to the little cliff above him gives you a perfect spot to spam arrows on him. After buying 69 arrows, nice, we went and fought the Nameless King. Now honestly, the King of Storm phase was the hardest part of this fight, since hitting the dragon's head can be very inconsistent, while the Nameless King seems to have no such issues caving my skull in. But after putting down the dragon, we move on to phase 2. Sorry man, your dragon bit me, so I had to put him down. Now second phase was really simple. Just have to time my dodges and make space to shoot my arrows. And after a while, he goes down. Alright, all the base game bosses down. You know, I may not know what's going to happen in the DLC, but what I do know is that we are going to need a lot of arrows. That should suffice. I hit to the Painted World DLC and rushed straight to Champion Gravetender. And Jesus Christ, I was right to be worried. For the first phase, there is literally nothing I can do against his rolling except to just spam as many arrows as I can and pray that one of them hits him, which makes this fight last for a while. Even the wolf that he summons takes a while to kill because of how low our damage is, so it can get really frustrating when we're 5 minutes into an attempt and... yeah, just a bit peeved. So the game plan is to just kite the wolf around, taking any chance I can get to hit him with an arrow, and once he goes down, that only leaves the Gravetender left. And after a lot of... oh, come on! Please hit! You've got to be kidding me! He goes down. Okay, not the greatest start to the DLC. Hopefully the rest of the bosses won't be as bad. Right? Oh, hey Sir Wilhelm. I then proceeded to shoot him 81 times in cold blood. Alright, time to pull the lever. Wait, what? How did a wolf follow me all the way here? Well, can't think about that right now. Let's show Frida what an arrow tastes like. Now, bows work surprisingly well on Frida. The way that Frida moves and the placement of her lock-on lets you get a lot of free headshots on her. Plus, the arrows that you shoot at her don't disappear when she goes invisible, so you can easily locate her. And that leads us to phase 2. Now, it does take a while because of the low damage of our bow, but we just kite Father Ariandel around and make sure to stun Frida out of her healing spell. And that leads us to the final phase. Basically the same thing with the first phase with getting headshots and whatnot. Now we just have to dodge her moves. And after a long battle, Sister Frida goes down. After restocking on some arrows, I rush through the Dreadkeep and fight the Twin Demons. And this fight took forever, since we have to go through 3 health bars with a bow. Just getting through the first phase took a whole 6 minutes. Not even talking about the second phase, where we do... even though the Demon Prince has moves where you can get a lot of damage in, if you get hit, yeah. But after some careful dodge timing, in an arduous 11-minute fight, the Twin Demons go down. Man, only 4 bosses left. Let's finish strong. But first things first though, we gotta knock Badir down a peg. I stand next to his hand shooting a bunch of arrows at it, and eventually he goes... "You've got to be kidding me." And there he goes. I then grab the Chloranthy Ring plus 3 for even more stamina recovery, and take on Half-Life Spear of the Church. Release me from the NPC fight, please! The first thing I do is take out the Painting Guardians, because I will not have him heal Half-Life mid-fight. Luckily, they don't seem to roll nearly as much as regular NPCs, but that does not make them any less annoying to take down. Like, can you stop throwing moon shurikens at me? Oh yeah, friendly reminder that we have to deal with 2 of them. But once we get to Half-Life, all I did was just spam arrows because, again, if you throw a million things at something, eventually something's going to hit. And after a long fight, Half-Life goes down. Alright, fine, we'll deal with them later. Let's see how Midir feels after that fall. Wow, he doesn't seem too happy with it. Now this fight took a while to beat. With Midir's large health pool combined with our subpar damage, makes this fight take years. But other than that, nothing really to note. Like I've said before, I'm way too used to this guy's moves to lose now. Midir down. After restocking on arrows, we take another attempt at Half-Life, and after a long 8-minute fight, he goes down. Alright, only 2 more bosses to go. Let's restock on arrows and finish this. I touched Philionor's egg and got sent to the end of the world and faced the man himself, Gale. Now because Gale has a really big health pool, our bow does... yeah. Also, since Gale has the worst back posture I've ever seen in my life, a lot of my arrows just fly right over him. But there's not much else to this fight. It's just a really long endurance fight. So I just sit back and shoot him with all the arrows I can muster. And eventually, even the weakest of bows can take down the hardest walls if you're persistent enough. And then there was one. Let's show this guy the true strength of bows. Now, Solar Cinder was really simple in his first phase. We just stay back trying to shove as many arrows into his body as possible. And any hits he does get on us, we can easily recover from. Even in his second phase, all we need is a little timing and patience. But hey, I'm no stranger to that. And that was Dark Souls 3 beaten with only bows. A really nice run. I've never really used bows in any Dark Souls game, so doing this was a really nice change of pace. Now, do I think bows are good? No. They do subpar damage at best, and there's no variety in them. So if you want range damage, just stick to magic. Anyways, if you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that little bell to be notified of any new videos that I make. And I really do appreciate you watching this video. And one final thing. Have a great day!